Welcome back, ladies and gents, to this daily double edition of Blitz with Shell. Today we will be feasting our optic globes on this Tier 8 German light tank, the RU-251. So we can briefly discuss the tank itself, then get into some gameplay. In a nutshell, this tank is at Tier 8, shoved and wedged between the SP1C and the Leopard prototype, and honestly, this thing just plays like a baby Leo. It's a tank that I feel plays the predecessor role to the Leo line much better than the Indian Panzer as far as preparing you for the kind of gameplay that you will need in order to succeed in these kinds of lightly armored tanks in the higher tiers. Pretty much in a nutshell, this tank has a very good gun. The DPM is great for a light tank. The penetration is acceptable, especially if you load heat. I'll show you just what I mean there. You do get pretty good penetration and everything. You see the armor is crap. 25 millimeters is the most you're going to get. Turret armor is 20 all around. So you see the engine power is 630, weight of 25.88 tons, speed limit of 80, and its reverse speed of 45 degrees per second. So you can turn around very quickly, you're very mobile, very quick, yada yada. You've heard this all before. Rate of fire is great. 10 rounds a minute. The aim time, dispersion, and everything are all excellent, and the view range is pretty darn good. So as far as this tank goes, honestly, if you like the Leo, you'll like this. If you like the SP1C, you'll probably like this tank. If you're the kind of person who likes to do passive scouting, using your camo, that works on the move for the light tanks, which is a great advantage. If you like capitalizing on those sorts of advantages, as opposed to brawling outright in the open, this is the kind of tank for you. So what you can do is similar to the SP1C, passively scouting for your team, or flanking opponents when they're busy and distracted with the main force. You can chip away at their sides and rear and do quite a considerable amount of damage. Let's get into some gameplay, but pretty much it's the kind of tank too, just so you know that you do need a stable internet connection to fully enjoy it, just because the gameplay is so fast. If you have any lag whatsoever, you're going to feel a little bit out of touch with your tank. It's not going to feel as intuitive. But other than that, this is the kind of tank that you move ahead quickly, get into a bush, stay unseen, and spot for your team until you get spotted yourself, and then from there, it's up to you what you want to do. You can flank around. I just recommend if you do get spotted that you find a place to hide, wait to reset your camo to not give your enemy team any clues as to where you're going next. But with that said, looks like we're in the new Middleburg. We'll be climbing this ridge line. We do have some other light tanks up here. We have enemy light tanks, the SP1C. Couple tank destroyers and the like. I'd fully expect that this tank would come up through the top. It's quickly retreating. We've been spotted, so I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna trick them. I'm gonna make them think that we're heading this way, when really we're gonna go back to where we came. I'm gonna take a quick peek around the corner here, see if there's anybody to shoot. I don't have the reflexes to hit them. And so this team went city. Let's use our speed boost to become relevant. So you can actually get some pretty solid drifts. So we did the spotting damage there, I believe, which is always nice. This poor little Pershing. We're just gonna spot them, hide behind some cover. Probably poke out this way next. Just get him, bait him along, get him interested in me, so we can get him killed. My team wanted to do any dirty work whatsoever, and it looks like we ricocheted maybe. Cool, so we killed the tank, but we're probably dead next. But that's okay. We got them all cornered. So I want to see if I can't keep this little guy nice. However, I'm not feeling... Ooh, cool. So I wasn't feeling too lucky there. You can see how hairy a situation that can get in. I wouldn't say that was luck that got me through. I'd say it was my teammates. But always make sure you've got backup that's unseen. So really, this is the kind of tank. It's nice to have an ambush setup. It's great to bait people because this is like the SP1C, the kind of tank that people, as soon as they see it, they want to kill it because they know how dangerous it can be. It isn't necessarily the fire it brings, but the fact that you can be the tank coming from additional angles from the main force very easily. And so I would say that our matchmaking and so forth with the amount of light tanks that we had, I mean, it was going to be a no contest thing. We had some heavy hitters that were very slow in mobility or very fast, very powerful light tanks. So let's get into another match just to see what else we can do. Let's see what we got. So, I mean, this is the kind of tank because it moves so quickly, you don't even realize you're doing spotting. But, yeah, that situation in that corner there, near the enemy spawn, that's something that I would say that was semi-calculated. We did get lucky. I was planning just to attack a couple tanks and hopefully get some spotting, and it looked like we had less cover fire than I was originally anticipating, but enough to get out alive. So that's good. Now just reading through this. This is a great map for this tank as well. Just want to see what direction they want to head, and we will follow suit. Can I get them to follow me? It looks like I can. And so this is going to be a good day. What I want to do is get a good spotting position. See if we can get some drifting going on. Maybe get a good jump in. Woo. You have to be careful not to track yourself because of the jumps in this tank. And this always happens in that I noob out, I go too fast, I spot everybody, but then I die within 5 seconds. So that's the kind of situation you can get yourself into. Calculate what direction you had. I was kind of hoping that they all went the other way, which was not the case. As though stupid is as stupid does, and that was pretty stupid. This guy, the Tiger P, idiot's supposed to be his job, and that's kind of true. So, what we can do is I'll actually break this apart, and I'll do one battle with another tank. Make this a triple shot for the day in total. Let's look at the German Tier 8 premium tank, the JgTig 88. Just because it's a premium tank, I wanted to do a premium for some time. And it's a tank that you have to spend gold on, so it's real money. So it's kind of important to know if a tank's going to be worth it. In short, I would say grind up and get the JgTiger at Tier 9 first. If you like that tank and you master that tank, then you'll probably like this tank a lot more. This is not a tank for newer players. This is not a tank that you want to be using until you have several Tier 8 tanks that you've earned up the old-fashioned way. I'd steer you maybe in the direction of an IS-6 for your first premium and a very consistent premium. But this tank, it's kind of unwieldy to play, but the gun kind of makes up for it in some ways. And so let's talk very briefly about it. Pretty much this tank, the strengths of the tank are the gun. The DPM is great, and that's in the upper superstructure armor is great as well. So if you get in a hull down position, it's almost impenetrable as long as you're covering the lower glacis and then get the upper plate angled a little bit. And the rate of fire is just something phenomenal. So I'll show you that you can do it. I think it's like 175, yeah, like a 200 damage, 225 damage is an average roll. And your penetration, that's where this is seriously lackluster. You're going to have to be using the accuracy of this gun to aim at weak spots, but look at the rate of fire, it's 12.24. One way around that is the penetration is to bring a healthy supply of premium ammunition, which will increase the penetration value by about, like 25 mil, so that helps out quite a bit. But pretty much this tank, its traverse speed is terrible. So in a tank destroyer without a turret, that's a huge detriment. So your best bet is to either stay kind of far away and snipe or end up in a choke point where you don't have to turn around that much. Both of those things are important. Let's look at the stats on that game real quick. So we somehow lost. this one. Well, I wonder why. But looking at the other one briefly, our first match that we did well, you can see, I don't know if we took a look that quickly, so we had a couple duds, but we still did alright. Out of 9 shots, 8 of them hit, 5 penetrated. And you can see the damage there. So our damage ourselves, we didn't really do much, but the spotting damage is where it helped. Now switching gears back to this tank. Like any German tank, the lower glacis is a huge weak spot. The sides are huge and weak. Don't let anybody get behind you if you can help it. If someone gets behind you and is doing circle of death type things, always keep a solid surface like a rock or a city wall nearby, so you can, or the edge of the map, so you can scrape them off your side. Pretty much everything I have in here is aimed towards the gun. Again, vents, gun rammer, and enhanced gun laying drive. Just to improve the DPM is already substantial. As far as my consumables go, I have adrenaline to, again, up the DPM. If you find yourself in a tight spot, and you're kind of in that situation where you're putting as much damage into them as you can before you die on your deathbed, the DPM of this gun can surprise you. You can easily get you can get 1,000, 1,500 damage before you go. And that's a pretty bad game in this tank, if you know what you're doing. However, if you don't, you're gonna die quickly. So, how to play this tank? I pretty much just stick by the axiom, don't go alone. So we'll stick with some other tanks. That hill ridgeline right there, you don't have the gun depression quite. You see, it's pretty good, but you don't have quite enough gun depression to really use that effectively. So, I was talking, not paying attention. Wage row of apologies there. So you see, this is the traverse. It's pretty bad. I don't know why this guy stopped. Soft terrain is pretty bad. So I can see why a lot of people don't like this tank. The mobility is pretty piss poor, to be quite honest. We're already getting shot at. But if you get in a position, the best thing to do is have cover, and to be able to get in a position yourself where you're able to return fire, you won't do half bad. I'm afraid to go forward because I don't want them to land shots into the side of my superstructure. I can't see them. I don't know if they can see me, especially with that Tiger 1 there. So we land a shot, clutch into him, low roll for this tank. And I think we're gonna die. This might not be the best example of a game. We'll maybe play one more. But is this thing a credit earner? Yes. Will it help your win rate? Not at all. I find that if you're getting the high 40s or low 50s in this tank, you're doing pretty good. Some people who are very good might be able to draw higher levels. I'm gonna get this guy. So we got a good bounce there, and we're just gonna try to take something out before we go. So I'm not liking this situation, so I'm going to try to slowly back away. Get out of the center of fire. I see that guy trying to flank around, but I also see this guy over here, who I suspect will be coming out over here. So, yep. And, noobing out. Got a lucky bounce. Don't ask me what I was doing there. I think that tank inside is going to shoot me from behind while I try to jockey in. Get a shot at that Type 59. So one thing that I can say is always important to remember in this tank is cover, cover, cover. Always have cover nearby. Always have a wall to get behind, some hard cover, a hill, anything. Because if you start getting chipped away at, it's not good. So you can see the accuracy of this tank. It was zoomed in well before I had anything to say about it. I think someone's going to come across this way, and they are. So we're getting some extremely lucky bounces, I would say. No, as did he. So he tried to ram me to death. And I'm not liking this, we're dead. Bye-bye. And so, our ISU is in a little bit of a predicament, to say the least. Got a lucky bounce off the gun mantlet. It's probably already used his adrenaline. I'm interested to see how he handles this situation. I would probably have stuck with that same target, but, you know, to each their own. He got a really hefty roll on that, too. Although I can see his thinking here is that he has a rock for cover against that JgTig. And a Tankenstein was taking him from the flank, and yeah, so this wasn't a great first game. You can see I definitely had a few moments where my brain wasn't fully functioning. So let's get to the stats and play one more match, hopefully a better one. I want to show you a DPM roll on this where you can really start taking out targets. It feels a lot like a tortoise in some senses, where once you get rolling, so we actually got quite a few kills somehow, some way with all of those lucky bounces. But yeah, I'd say don't rely on your armor too much in this tank. You'll get some lucky bounces if you cover your lower glacis, but that lower plate, man, if you're driving across open country like I was, or if you're sitting on a flat surface with your opponent directly in front of you, I would say the skill of the driver had a lot to do with me staying alive rather than the armor of the tank. So last one with this, we have two light tanks, so we have a pretty strong, I would think a strong flank, just depending on what this guy wants to do. I think he wants to ride the goat trail. But he doesn't know how, so that's unfortunate. Maybe he does. Maybe he knows better than I. The hill climbing capabilities of those tanks are something ridiculous. So I've noticed after this patch, it seems like the goat trails become much more accessible to other tanks. Or maybe just you're seeing more people doing it, so in turn more people are interested. See if we can track him in place, which we did not. But he seems to be wanting to do that for himself, which is okay with me. Okay, so this is the kind of situation you want to get in, a sniping scenario. Just, you know, hopefully you're the one spotting them and them not you. So that RU, looks like they've already got him tagged. I'm going to move forward, trying to help my teammates.
Enemy armor is damaged. We didn't penetrate their armor.
So you see, this is where the penetration might fail you. I could use APCR
That one didn't go through.
and improve my chances, but hey, why not? So against a KV-4, that's actually probably not a bad idea. Just keep plenty of APCR on board, just in case you need it. And so, you can see this is a pretty strong position for this tank. Lower glacis is covered, superstructure is fairly strong.
Enemy armor is
He's not going to be able to get any good shots with that pen. And the APCR, you can see it really makes a difference. Probably not going to need it for a Tiger 1. And so we're just going to blast away. He's looking at us, looking for weak spots, which I don't think any exist. Alright, and so let's look at the stats here. You can see you can get some good damage if someone's willing to be your co-conspirator and sit in front of you with armor exposed, or if you can keep them perma-tracked. It's another way to really lay down the damage. So we didn't do half bad there. I wanted to do one more match just to close things out with the RU-251, just because that was the tank we were originally using, and it's a lot of fun. So this is the kind of map you want to find yourself with, and the kind of matchmaking you want to find yourself in with the RU-251, just because they don't have any really fast lights, so you know you're going to have the edge, you know you're going to get to the spotting positions first, You have to be a little bit cautious if you see a lot of lights, or lights at all on the enemy team, because they're probably going to be moving towards the same spots that you are. Those flanking positions and so forth. Okay, I was going to say something, but this Tiger 2's in the way. So without further ado, we're just going to rush ahead. I wanted to say spotting. I'm just too lazy. I'm just going to hope that my team knows what I'm doing, which is a horrible assumption to make. So we're going to blaze ahead, get some good drifting action. Spot one of their tanks. We've been spotted, so I'm going directly to cover. So we don't need two lights in the same spot, however he wants to play this game too, so that's fine. Never go alone. So you never want to get in a brawling situation like this, so I'm trying to find my exit strategy, which is this way. So we have literally every heavy gun over here. So I'm just going to try to find as much cover as possible to hide behind. And pucker my butthole as an I6 takes us out. So anyways, that shows you the best and worst of this tank in a nutshell. I appreciate you guys taking the time to look at this video. Feel free to subscribe below and give me some comments as far as what you want to see next. Alright, I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.